Michigan's defense looks to have suffered a major injury during spring football. What does that mean for the defending national champions moving forward? Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I am Craig Sheeman. Coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and a play-by-play announcer. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going to dive into this Michigan injury and let you know what we think about this, plus news around the league, and a Penn State freshman offensive lineman is turning some heads, plus a lot more news around the league and our power rankings midweek. All that coming up right here. Now, we had planned to spend a part of today's podcast talking about the defense for Michigan and their football team, but a major injury may tweak our focus here. We heard some rumblings from spring football that the 2024 defense might be better than last year's national championship defense. What? Really? That's despite the fact that numerous key players are off to the NFL. A defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter, who put together one of the best game plans I've ever seen in the national championship game against Michael Penix Jr. of the Washington Huskies. He left the program to join Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. So big shoes to fill in Ann Arbor, but we're still going to explore all this. Well, the Wolverines defense did suffer a major blow in spring practice over the weekend, so much so that it might change the equation just a little bit. Star safety Rod Moore, he tore his ACL, at least reportedly tore his ACL, and it appeared to happen in a non-contact drill. So that makes it even worse to kind of absorb a little bit here. But apparently happened over the weekend at a non-contact drill. Moore, who is an Ohio native, will forever be remembered as the guy that intercepted Ohio State quarterback Kyle McCord in the fourth quarter of this past season's Buckeyes-Wolverines game, thus sealing the win for Michigan and sending them to the Big Ten championship, then the playoffs, and then to a national championship. So no matter what happens to this young man or whatever his future brings, that interception will live on forever in Michigan folklore. Now, on a defense that's losing a lot of talent to the NFL, Moore was actually a returning 3-year starter for Michigan, and he was named as a third-team All-Big Ten member by the league's coaches in 2023, had 38 tackles and a couple of interceptions, including that big one against the Buckeyes. And the year before had 4 interceptions with 7 pass breakups and 71 tackles. Now, regarding Moore, he could have followed most of his teammates and entered the NFL draft, but he decided to come back for another year and raise his NFL stock for the future and play another year. Now everything's up in the air. And if this indeed is an ACL injury that will require surgery, this particular injury has a 9 to 12 month recovery period. So presumably his 2024 season is over before it started. Now, experience like Moore's is tough to replace. And the secondary is the one area on the Michigan roster where the depth chart isn't just loaded with upperclassmen like other parts. Plus, Keon Saab was one of the few to transfer out, very few to transfer out. You know, they didn't lose a lot of transfers when Jim Harbaugh left, unlike Alabama when everybody transferred out when Nick Saban retired. A lot of kids love Michigan, love being part of the culture there, being a Michigan man, all that has to offer, networking opportunities later in life. Most of the guys stayed, the ones that aren't going to the NFL and had eligibility left to coming back to Ann Arbor. But Saab bolted out. He's one of the few. And meanwhile, the players that are available in the secondary, while they're not freshmen either, they don't have a lot of experience. I'm thinking of guys like redshirt sophomore Zeke Berry. He appeared in 11 games last year, played on special teams, made 3 tackles. Sophomore Brandon Hillman appeared in 9 games, made a couple of tackles. While inexperienced, he is an athlete, by the way. In high school, he both threw and ran for over 1,000 yards each in both his junior and senior year. So at least he's an athlete. but not a lot of experience on the field with these guys that got to step up in Moore's absence. There's also Makari Page, Quentin Johnson, Jacob Oden, and former receiver, now DB, Christian Dixon. So we'll see. I mean, you always got to start somewhere with some of these younger players. It's just Michigan has had this luxury. If a senior went down with an injury, or if a senior went on to the NFL, or if a senior used up his eligibility, there was another senior right behind him, right? At the very least a junior, and a lot of times grad students, so really experienced guys. That's not the case in the secondary here with Michigan. And so this is a bit of a concern with Rod Moore and his injury. Of course, another option for the Wolverines is the transfer portal. That opens up in 2 weeks. The spring transfer portal, April 15th. They may have to go out and get themselves an experienced defensive back to play safety for them. We'll see how things are going at quarterback, by the way. Maybe they get one of those too. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there, laying some groundwork for some future podcasts here on Locked On Big Ten. Another bright spot for the Wolverines, while losing defensive coordinator Jesse Minter, they gain an experienced coach in Wink Martindale, who comes ready to go. He'll be different. Jesse Minter was great. Wink Martindale he's an experienced coach with a big name and a lot of great ideas. So we'll see how that goes. And he still has a great group up front. Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, plugging up the middle of the defensive line. And the Wolverines did add a linebacker in the portal with Jaysean Barnum arriving from Maryland. In fact, he announced like on the first day back in early December, as soon as the portal opened, boom, I'm going to Michigan. He was the first guy they signed in the transfer portal. So he's all ready to go in Ann Arbor as well. He had 3 sacks for the Terps in 2023, and 1 interception was against J.J. McCarthy in Michigan. J.J. McCarthy did not throw a lot of interceptions last year, but one of them was against Maryland, and this kid was the one that got it, Barnum. So maybe he's good. I think he's going to be inserted right into the starting lineup, to be honest with you. A lot of players and coaches who expect Michigan to be good and maybe even better on defense, they all talk about this solid culture in Ann Arbor. They believe in this system left in place by Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter. Now, both are gone, so it's up to the players as well as the remaining coaches, Sharon Moore and company, just to keep it going. Talent and experience helps too. But a lot of that talent will be playing on Sundays in 5 months as they lose. I think it's 18 players is what we're up to now that are looking to be drafted by the NFL or are leaving Michigan. Defensive tackle Chris Jenkins, linebacker Junior Colston, nickel Mike Sainristrow, who is one of my favorite players to watch because he was just everywhere. They'll all go relatively early in April's draft. 4 or 5 more starters on the defense alone will get drafted as well. So maybe up to 8 of your go-to guys on defense are gone, and they were all good. So now one of your main guys that was coming back, Rod Moore, appears to be gone for the season before it ever started. And while I think Michigan will always be good and a contender for a Big Ten title these days, I'm not so quick to bite on them being better this year defensively than they were last year. I'm going to take a wait-and-see approach because I don't see it yet. That was a pretty good defense last year. That was an epic defense last year. They can still be good and not be as good as that defense last year, right? What do you think? Hit me up. Also, one other note, it has been announced that Michigan's spring football game, the Maize and Blue game, April 20th. We already knew that, but it's going to air nationally on Fox. Okay. Something to look forward to. That's about a little more than 3 weeks away. The spring football game. Can't wait. Anyway, Michigan fans, would love to hear from you. Hit me up on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Also, don't forget our website. See the crawl on the bottom here for another second. TalkBig10 10.com. And also your comments on YouTube are also always welcome. We'd like to hear from you, Michigan fans. We haven't done a podcast on Michigan in a couple of weeks, so they're focused on Michigan, at least football. We're talking about Juwan Howard and basketball a lot. Let's talk some football. It's spring football, right? So we'll do all that. And if you like what you see here, tell a friend about us and subscribe. Please subscribe. Just click it and you're good. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. No other information required. And it really helps us out here on Locked On Big Ten. You can follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. One more thought on Michigan. Is Jim Harbaugh still taking shots at Ryan Day? I'll tell you about that. Plus, no spring game in Minnesota. What's that all about? And Kirk Ferentz talking portal, good and bad. All that coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Better Together. Have you heard about this yet? Better Together offers a familiar experience for existing daily fantasy sports players with a social twist. You can play with a friend or a teammate and group and gang up on other teammates, if you will. Shows what kind of synergy that you can have for working together. Gives you better chances at winning other than going it alone. And it's all about the team. This is really cool. It's really fun. If you're tired of the same old daily fantasy grind where you make a roster, cross your fingers, hope for the best, Better Together is the first cooperative daily fantasy platform. You do it with your friends, not against them. You can pick more or less on statistical categories as a group. You can communicate with each other and say, hey, you like this move? Let's approve it. Let's do it. You strategize with your partner and boost your odds and climb the leaderboard together. That's cool. I guess maybe your other friends, little rivalry. You can send your friend an invite, join them, become a team, go against other people, watch yourself rise in the standings each and every day as you do more and more stat comparisons, taking over more than or less. It's a lot of fun if you want to do that. Download Better Together now from the App Store and sign up using the promo code Locked On for a free $5 entry into any NCAA basketball contest. Remember the code Locked On because winning alone is fun, but it's better together. How about that? Check that out. There'll be a lot of fun. Fire TV. Have you heard about this? Fire TV is your destination for sports. From live games to highlights to in-depth analysis, Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's the opening weekend of baseball coming up here or the rest of the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have a Fire TV. And Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos of your favorite sports, all for free. And that includes us here at Locked On. Most of the big pro leagues, college conferences, all that. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date with the latest in the world of sports, March Madness, NBA, MLB, lots more, not to mention news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking, all of that right there. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. Learn more. Visit Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. That's Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. Thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Spread the word that we're here every day. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube. It helps us out. It's free. And you can share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. We archive all of our podcasts and group them by your favorite team or school. You can get merchandise there. It's all there. Talkbig10.com. Ticket information there too if you want to go to games. All right. Jim Harbaugh, is he still taking shots at Ohio State, even though he's the head coach of the Chargers now? You know, when Ryan Day was beating Harbaugh at Michigan soundly years ago, Harbaugh famously said, hey, some people are, they wake up on third base and think they've hit a triple, or they're born on third base and think they hit a triple, meaning that they just inherited a loaded football team, so don't quit the trash talking a little bit. You didn't have much to do with it. That was what he was implying. Of course, Urban Meyer did hand him a nice program, no doubt, just as Harbaugh is handing Sherrone Moore a good program as well. At the NFL owners' meetings, and where the coaches were, Harbaugh dusted off the comment again, saying regarding his Chargers staff, he said, hey, everybody in that building, no one was born on third base. Everyone had to work together or work to get to first base. I don't know if it was a veiled shot at Ryan Day or if he's just using that same comment over and over again. By the way, we learned that Mrs. Harbaugh, well, she's been busy, holding garage sales at the old house, at the Harbaugh house, getting ready to put it up for sale, having garage sales there in Ann Arbor. We found out that Jim Harbaugh's been living in an RV down there in Southern California while waiting for his rental house to be ready. And apparently seems to love the lifestyle. A lot of solitude, can get some thinking done. Said he likes it. Michigan running back Donovan Edwards, who's going to get a chance to shine this year because Blake Corum's gone. He says he's put on a little bit of weight, good weight, muscle weight, and still is able to go at top speed. He also commented on running backs coach Tony Alford. He was the one that just left Ohio State to take the same job at Michigan. What's that been like? Well, he says he's going to miss Mike Hart, who left, by the way. And that Mike Hart will always be a Michigan legend because he was a player there and a coach as well. He says he's got a solid relationship with Alford. Alford tried to recruit him, Donovan Edwards, back when he was in high school, try to get him to go to Ohio State. So they got a relationship, little foundation there. He says it's all great. He says teammates love him and respect him, and they're ready for the grind together. So just an update there. Iowa football coach Kirk Ferentz is talking. All these guys are talking now because, spring football is going on and press conferences are taking place. And he talked about the transfer portal in light of offensive lineman Caden Proctor, who transferred to Iowa from Alabama following Nick Saban's retirement, but then went on spring break with his friends from Alabama and got homesick and decided he was going to go back to Alabama, even though he's from Iowa, and go back. He never even took a snap with the Hawkeyes. Yeah, it's the second time he flipped on the Hawkeyes. When he was recruited out of high school, he's from Iowa. He said he was going to go to the Hawkeyes. And then he flipped. He changed his mind, went to Alabama. Then hit the transfer portal, so he's coming back to Iowa. Been here for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden changed his mind, going back to Alabama. So naturally, Kirk Ferentz was asked about it. He said, look, the portal's been good overall for Iowa. You get players like linebacker Nick Jackson and Cade McNamara, quarterback. They all came via the portal. You lose some, you win some. Overall, Ferentz says he's not surprised by Proctor's 180 flip going back to Alabama. He says, look, it's just a reflection of the current system. So the lack of structure within that system, he doesn't know if the current system is sustainable. It's just mayhem from day to day. He doesn't allow anything to surprise him at this point. Yesterday, and if you missed yesterday's podcast, you can go back. It's got a big picture of Caitlin Clark on the thumbnail, but we did talk some Penn State football there. Maybe you missed it. And we looked a lot at their offense yesterday here in spring football, and we looked at their wide receiver situation, whether they have wide receivers that can stretch Big Ten defenses, which they didn't have last year. That's where they're going to have to improve this year. Nothing happens if Drew Aller doesn't have time to throw. And there's a true freshman on the team right now, Cooper Cousins, offensive lineman, starting to open some eyes around there. Apparently he's fitting right in on the field, in the weight room, seems to get it, according to coaches and teammates. And many are saying that he could actually play as a true freshman if this keeps up. A true freshman on an offensive line at Penn State? Unheard of. That'd be pretty rare. But we'll get our first look at him in game action when the blue-white game takes place April 13th. It's 2 weeks from now. So Penn State spring game coming up. A lot of people are very, very excited. I'm excited about all these spring games going on. Get a look, jump right back in and see how people are looking, what kind of changes have been made, all that kind of stuff. However, if you are a Minnesota Golden Gopher fan, going to be no rowing the boat for PJ Fleck. He says there is no spring football game, no organized one anyway, for fans due to the changing college landscape is what he said. So they'll kind of have a spring game, but it's not going to be open to the public. It's not going to be like a set time or whatever, anything. He said he's never really had a traditional spring game with a date and a time and everybody show up and a place for fans to gather since 2017 when he showed up. He said there are a lot of factors over the years. There was COVID or, snow. We get a lot of snow up there. Spring football, still a lot of snow up there. So those are some of the factors. They never really got into having a spring game. But the thing they said, the changing college landscape, I guess he's talking about, up there, they got something called Dinkytown athletes. They're holding the open practice for fans there. And I got Dinkytown. They help They're a collective that helps put together name, image, and likeness deals together for athletes. And maybe they're the ones calling the shots. Maybe they want some exclusivity or whatever you have it. But just an educated guess by me. I'm really not sure. They really don't do the spring football thing up in Minnesota since PJ Fleck has been there, and they're not going to do it again this year. So it's too bad. I think the fans really like it. But anyway, I want to ask you, if you spend any of your daytime watching daytime sports TV, on Fox Sports, or ESPN, all that screaming and yelling and talking over each other, sometimes you got to turn the volume down, right? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day, bringing you the best stories without the screaming. It's even keeled. It's passionate, even keeled, though. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app that I was just telling you about a minute ago. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, the middle of the week, we like to rank stuff, power rankings. And since it's just the tail end of basketball season, we're going to rank the Big Ten schools, men's basketball, home court advantage, best atmosphere, 1 through 14. We'll have that for you coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. We'll see where your team is. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. And just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were able to take it to the next level. And I'm talking about the Fighting Illini, Illinois. Pushed through at the end, got themselves a Big Ten championship, still alive in the Sweet 16, kind of creating a lane for themselves, knocking off Morehead State and Duquesne along the way. And now they find themselves, again, still alive, dancing in the Sweet 16. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop at nissanusa.com. That is nissanusa.com. Passion, drive, and patience. That's what brings home the winning trophy. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at all the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. It is time to put up our power rankings. Like to do a little something. During the season, we did kind of our standings, Big Ten standings. I'm going to put them on screen. You can check it out. We're going to do home court advantages. Who's got the best atmosphere for basketball, men's basketball in the Big Ten. See where your team is. We'll put it up here full screen. If you're audio only, we will describe it in detail. And at number one, I've got the Indiana Hoosiers. Now, they didn't have a great season this season with Mike Woodson and company, but I can't tell you, and I've been there as a fan. I've been there as a broadcaster. You can't hear anything. They're so loud in there. And Bill Self, the head coach at Kansas, once said out of his entire career, the loudest place he's ever been was at Assembly Hall in Bloomington, Indiana. That's saying something. I mean, that guy is down there in Kansas. Rock chalk, right? I'm going to put Purdue right behind him at West Lafayette. Mackey Arena. It gets so loud, your ears ring, you can't hear anything. Bounces back down off of the roof ceiling. It's incredibly loud. At number three, I'm going to put the Michigan State Spartans. That place is always rocking since Tom Izzo has been there. Also, Wisconsin, the Badgers. Been to a home basketball game in Wisconsin. It's deafening. At number five, kind of a newcomer, if you will, to basketball craziness, Nebraska has got a nice home court advantage. They are pumped over there in Nebraska, those sports fans over there. They had a nice team this year. I enjoyed watching them. Iowa, Carver Hawkeye Arena, always men's or women's, maybe more so women's. That place is rocking. Ohio State coming in at number 7. Always pretty raucous there. The Maryland Terps, I can't tell you how many teams just struggle. Even though maybe Maryland's not a better team, Maryland will win games at home based on the atmosphere there. I got them at number 8. Same thing with Rutgers. They're not always the best. They will play you tough defensively, and their home court is pretty good. The crowd there is pretty loud. Got the Northwestern Wildcats. They got pretty loud, particularly this year. I could have them ranked higher. Boo Booey, they're all going to be sad to see him go. But it's been a nice couple-year run over there at Northwestern. That is a happening atmosphere. I actually wish I could rank them higher. And the best of the rest, Penn State Nittany Lions. I've done a game there, broadcast a game there before. I will tell you this. There was a game this season where they didn't play in the normal arena. They played in the field house. Now that was a rocking atmosphere, kind of like that. It was more smaller, more quaint. Minnesota Golden Gophers at number 12. Going to put the Fighting Illini at 11. And I'm going to put Michigan and Chrysler Arena last at 4. Now, it used to not be this way. Michigan, when it was packed and the team is good, great atmosphere. The last couple of years, and then senior day, my lasting impression is going to be senior day with a half-empty Chrysler Arena. That's what I'm going to remember. But look, they start winning again. Dusty May starts winning games. They'll pack that place, and they will move up this list. I guarantee you that. So anyway, that's my list. Let me know what you think. You can hit me up on Twitter or X at TalkBig10 number 10. Don't forget YouTube with the comments, and don't forget our website. See it crawling on the bottom there. TalkBig10 number 10.com as well. Be sure to subscribe. That helps us out. We ask all of you to do that real quick. Doesn't cost you anything. Just click. No information required. You can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Audio versions come out as early as 4 o'clock Eastern every single day. The video on YouTube comes out at about 6 a.m. and it's there for you all day, ready to go. Tell your friends about us, especially if you have some Big Ten friends or alum. Let them know about us. We're here every day, Locked On Big Ten. The Locked On family also has its 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube called Locked On Sports Today. I invite you to check that out. So when you're done here, maybe check out another couple episodes of Locked On Big Ten, and then slide on over to our friends at Locked On Sports Today. All right. We're going to do another Michigan, not to be too heavy on Michigan this week, but it might be the end of the Michigan man. We're going to do that tomorrow as part of our podcast, along with other news going on with all the other teams around the league. So we'll see you there. Looking forward to that. Thanks for checking us out today here on Locked On Big Ten. Talk to you tomorrow. I'm Craig Sheeman.